So this weekend I'm deer damage permit hunting. What that means is that the deer numbers are high enough and the crop damage is significant enough that the DNR will issue a permit to shoot does. It's does only. So I have a permit to shoot as many does as necessary, basically. They limit it, but it's kind of based on what you're seeing. If you see a whole bunch of deer, the DNR will give you more tags, and they come out and have a biologist check it. But the whole reason we're doing deer damage permits is it's a DNR fiasco, if you ask me.
Just when we thought it couldn't get any worse.
Ranger Tom T. Trino, Department of Natural Resources.
The reason we're in this mess is because the DNR doesn't issue, they haven't for years, I've always said it, they have not issued enough antlerless deer tags for years. As long as I've been hunting, they haven't done it enough. And they've been too expensive, and they over-regulate.
In fact, some of them think they are God.
They don't open up the antlerless firearm seasons to help us keep these numbers down. So on top of the fact that the DNR could just completely do away with 95% of their regulations for private property owners, hunting would be just about right. So they way over-regulate it, and they're regulated in such ways that it's almost as if they're trying to keep hunters from being successful.
I got a ticket from every DNR officer ever set foot in these woods. I sure don't remember seeing you.
I just got transferred up to this part of the state.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah? Where from?
Detroit.
Maybe you hunters out there have a different experience, but me being in Michigan, the DNR does not seem like they are on hunters' sides. And they aren't on the wildlife side either, because when the deer get this overpopulated, diseases like CWD, chronic wasting disease, will run rampant. And property owners, specifically farmers, aren't happy to have this many deer damaging this significant amount of crop damage. So that's what we're out here today, mitigating deer population to mitigate deer damage on crops, specifically soybeans and probably most of the fields I'll be in. They damage corn and hay too. So, when the dumb nut regulators cease to be dumb nut regulators, I will gladly be the first to claim they are the Department of Natural Resources.
I began questioning the futility of my existence.
Until then, they're just dumb nut regulators.
In the darkest night, when the storm is raging strong, I need a mighty sound to guide me through. A trumpet blowing in the wind, a voice so clear and pure, calling out to me and to you. I need a mighty sound to guide me through. A trumpet blowing in the wind, a voice so clear and pure, calling out to me and to you. Oh, the sound of the trump, let it carry me to the risen King. Oh, the sound of the trump, bring me to my knees, kneeling on the throne of victory.
So this time of year, it's the opposite of typical hunting season. In a typical hunting season, the bucks will be spread out looking for does, and the does will be typically kind of herded together. But in the summer, it's the opposite. The bucks are actually bachelor groups together, and they're kind of herded up, and the does are still kind of in a fawning pattern. See, in the spring, when a doe has a fawn, they go find a nice quiet spot to have their fawn, and this time of year, they're still kind of spread out like that, kind of everywhere. There's no real reason to herd up because it's been raining so much. There's literally a mud puddle every 100 yards. There's plenty of water. There's plenty of bedding. They can bed anywhere out here. And there's plenty of food. It's everywhere. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm here. There's so much food out there. The deer are just mowing it down everywhere. So it's hard to actually find a spot. Like pinch points aren't really a thing because deer are spread out so much. Food sources and bedding, they're everywhere. Water, they're everywhere. So, I mean, it's difficult to get a nice pinpoint. It's not like all the deer are going to come to this one great food source or this one watering hole or this one awesome bedding area, because it's all awesome bedding and food and water. It's everywhere. So it's a challenge, more so than people think, even though the deer this time of year aren't quite as scared as they typically are in the fall. In the fall, the rut's got them riled up and they're already on edge because everybody out there is shooting at them. In the summer, it's a little different. They aren't used to having people shoot at them, and they're used to pedestrians and foot traffic. To a good start. Where's your mom? With all the rain we've been having, the beans are still quite tall. The edges are mowed right down, but out in there, the beans were tall. And I didn't realize how tall they were, because when I first saw these two deer, I thought they were two fawns, because all I could see were like their ears and their heads barely peeking out over the beans. And I think, well, their mothers can't be far. So I go and give a fawn in distress call the best I got.
Bah, 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 bah.
It worked, because these two deer weren't fawns at all. They came jumping right at me and they caught me off guard.
Probably should have shot.
I re-aged them once they could see them, and they ran away. And I could have shot, but I didn't. I didn't anticipate them being deer I was after because of how tall the beans were. I mean, the beans must be 5 feet tall out in there, and their ears, I mean, they look like small deer. I was thrown for a loop.
Let's keep going. Had a feeling there'd be some deer up here. And of course, when you're hunting for does, the bucks always show their face.
Lift up your heads, all you gates, and be lifted up, you everlasting doors. And the King of Glory shall come in. Who is this King of Glory? The Lord strong and mighty, Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, all you gates, and lift up you everlasting doors. And the King of Glory shall come in. Who is the King of Glory?
They're bucks. I couldn't believe how many bucks. I wish it was that easy to find the bucks in the fall. It seems like when I go hunting for them, I can't find them.
I'm gonna look over here, and then I'm gonna look over here.
Thankfully, some does did come out later. I got one that night. And I don't have any trophy photos because it's warm and I want to get some meat. So I took the back straps and quartered them as fast as I could and threw them on ice. So I didn't take any time once I had shot a deer to film it. I didn't film any of that, so you don't see it. It's in my cooler and I eat it.
Oh Lord, you have searched me and known me. Where can I go from your spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend into heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me.
It's deep and deeper and deeper. Rained so much here. This year it's just been raining and raining and raining. This would normally be dry ground, but it gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and I can't find any dry way in. With all the rain, all the floodplains were full of water, and the deer would run down in there and go splashing through knee-deep water, and there would be no trail left. There'd be nothing to find, even though I'm certain they were probably dead, but I don't know. We couldn't find them. They weren't there. The next day, I had spotted this branch earlier, and I wanted to come back to it. So it was just an oak branch that had fallen from way up top in the tree. It was a big branch, had a nice little hole in it already. I just had to trim a couple of branches to make my spot sit in there good and nice and tidy. I had plenty of room. So I trimmed a few shooting lanes and waited. And I waited a long time. Luckily, the snails were keeping me company. But when the deer did show up, they all showed up.
I finally found the herd of does that they came training in, luckily kind of one at a time.
Okay.
So the problem I was having, if you look on camera, the beans, I'm shooting across some tall beans out in it. The edge is not this tall, but the vitals here of the deer and the beans were like flirting right at the vitals. And I was having trouble getting a clear shot at the vitals without hitting the beans. So I would take a shot and be a little perplexed as to what happened, but I'm almost certain in hindsight that I was skimming the tops of the beans, and as my bullet hit the tops of the beans, it dove and got sucked into the beans.
Well, I hit 3 of them.
Ended up hitting one high just because that's how the beans were. I had to get the bullet above the beans in order to get a good hit on the deer. And if I didn't get it, if I wasn't clean over, I was too low, and it was a real fine line to try and get in there.
Pretty good blood trail. That shot's not too bad. They don't pull as easy going uphill on dry ground.
But I ended up getting 2 deer there. I actually shot, let's see, total in the weekend, I shot 5. So with all the flooded water, I was only able to find 3 of the 5 that I shot. Thankful to have that meat. I was hungry for some venison. The Lord always strengthens you with what you need. I ate that venison like a king when I got back.